Hey, before you listen to this story time, you might want to check the link in the description to the companion story time so that you get the complete story and not just half the story. Enjoy, you guys. I'll talk to you again soon. Hey, what's up, cats and kittens? And shout out to all my Cerebralites. It's me, the Cerebral Diva, back with part 2, the companion video to How I Fell in Love with a Stranger Over the Telephone. I promised you guys that I would give you part 2. I told you how we met. Now I'm going to tell you guys how we broke up. And this is kind of a very long story, so I'm going to try to give you the abridged version as much as I possibly can without leaving out the most juiciest details. So, anyhow, after meeting over the telephone, we wound up being in a relationship for probably about 7 years. It lasted about 7 years. Now, about 5 years into the relationship, maybe 4.5, somewhere around there. Keep in mind, when he moved to Minnesota, we immediately began cohabitating. There was never there was never a situation where he had his space and I had my space. We were an instant couple, add water and stir. And so maybe about the 5-year mark, I guess what's called we'll call it the 5-year itch, where he began saying, I just haven't had my own space. I didn't have this. We moved in really soon. And he had a female cousin who wound up, the two of them grew up together. She was in a relationship. She became pregnant. And the father of her unborn child was not really there for her in the way that she wanted him to be. So she wanted to move to Minnesota to be with her cousin because the two of them had a very strong relationship. So she wound up moving to Minnesota and moving in with the two of us. So it was myself, my boyfriend, his cousin, and her newborn child. And it was a 2-bedroom place with sort of this attached finished attic. So there was a lot of space. It was adequate space for 4 people. So it wasn't like we were on top of each other. So I didn't mind. And it was cool having a child around. So I don't know, it felt like the two of them, when I would leave, the two of them were having, conversations. And I don't know if she was coaxing him or what the situation was. But one day I came home and he basically told me that he wanted to get a place of his own. Now, I was not pleased at all because I felt like he really pulled the rug from underneath me and blindsided me. I didn't see that coming. But, he, was very assuring. He's like, babe, we're happy. I don't want to break up. I want us to still be together. I just feel like I want to have my own space. I've never had that before. And as reluctant as I was to concede, ultimately I gave in and he wound up getting his own place. Now, the part that frustrated me was he said to me that he needed his own space, but the cousin and the baby moved in with him. So if you need your own space, do you just need space from me? Or I don't understand how she and the child are moving in with you, and you're telling me you need your quote unquote own space, but you're separating from what we've built together. So there was definitely some bitterness and some resentment on my part for that, if I'm being completely candid. So he moved out, and just like I was afraid of, it felt like we started to grow apart, and I would talk to him all the time about my feelings and say, I'm unhappy. I don't feel like, we're progressing as a couple, blah, 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 blah. You know how we can be. So, but not in an argumentative way, because I don't really believe in arguing. I definitely believe in having adult conversations, but not arguing. So I'm presenting my my arguments to him, but in a way that's conducive to conversation. So he keeps trying to reassure me that it's not the way that I see things, but I feel what I feel. And it was difficult, having gone from living together on a daily basis to very rarely seeing each other. And then you call him up sometimes, and you'd hear all sorts of people in the background, new co-workers, new friends. So it felt like he was creating a life outside of me, and I was not here for that. Sorry, I wasn't. So as that began to happen, we just kept growing further and further apart. At one point we lived in the same state, and I think I was seeing him maybe once every 2 or 3 months. The same state. And so over time, it just began, for me, it felt like we were sort of having this soft breakup where we weren't going to really have this conversation, but we were just going to sort of wean ourselves off of one another and wind up, being single. So I'd had this conversation with him multiple times. He had gone out of town for business, and he was in Hawaii with one of his clients. So he calls me from Hawaii, and he's telling me how beautiful the beaches are and how he wished I was there with him, and how much being there makes him realize how much he loves me, and so on and so forth. Now he's having that moment, but in my mind, I'm having a conversation with myself that I need to go ahead and break this off. So I said to him, when you get back, we need to sit down and have a conversation, because there's a lot of things that I need to get off my chest. And he sort of went off on this diatribe saying, well, if you're breaking up with me, just break up with me now, and I won't come back. I'll stay where, so he was being the drama king. And so I sort of fed into the drama, and I was like, no, I want you to come back. We can just talk when you get back. But when he said that, it made me reluctant to have a conversation with him about a breakup. So I continued on in things, with things as the way they've been, with us very rarely seeing each other, very rarely communicating with each other, not really going on dates, and really creating sort of our lives independent of one another. And at some point, I just felt like, okay, well, we're not together anymore. So shortly thereafter, I wound up buying an apartment complex. I bought a residential property, and it had 4 units, and I stayed in the top unit. And so I wound up moving there and having tenants and so on and so forth. And he hadn't even seen my new place, right? So at this point, in my mind, I haven't seen this man. I haven't talked to this man. We don't communicate. As far as I was concerned, we just weren't together anymore. So because we were so close, I think I can't remember exactly how it happened, but he wound up having a key to my new place. I don't remember the circumstances of how that happened, if I'm being completely honest. But he did wind up having a key to my new place. So even though we weren't talking, and in my mind we'd officially broken up, because look, if you're my man and I'm not seeing you for 2 or 3 months at a time, look, at that point, all bets are off. Look, you do what you want to do. It's pretty much don't ask, don't tell around this piece, as far as I'm concerned. So I started moving on with my life and started dating again, because I felt like I was single, so I started to behave like I was single. Now I'm very relationship oriented. I'm not really the single type. At this point in my life, I'm single, and I'm single by design, not by default, because I could instantly be in a relationship if I want to, but I got sick of being the serial monogamous, jumping from relationship to relationship to relationship, and I really wanted to take some time after my last relationship just to be comfortable with me. And I think that a lot of people are afraid to do that. So at this point, I moved on. I met a new guy. I think I talked about him in a previous video. This was the scientist who moved back to Atlanta. So I wound up meeting him, and we just hit it off. He was smart. He was intelligent. He was, driven. He was pretty much everything that I look for in a guy. I was attracted to him, and things were great. Now, once again, he was visiting Minneapolis, and he lived in I believe he was going to school in Gainesville at this particular time. So he wound up relocating to Minneapolis. You know, I always tell people I have this thing where I don't do local talent. For some reason, it always seems like whenever I like a guy, he typically doesn't live in the same state as me. So he wound up moving to Minnesota, to Minneapolis in particular, to be with me. And at this point, we weren't living together. He was just flying back and forth periodically to see me. So this one weekend, he flew up to see me. This is back when like the Hollywood Blockbuster days when, you know, you could go and rent a couple of DVDs or whatever. So we had went and rented movies, and, you know, we're laying around the house, just chilling, just having a really good time. And so at some point, it gets a little late in the evening. We're laying in the bed, and I heard footsteps coming up to my unit. And I'm like, who's coming up to my unit? So not only did I hear footsteps coming up to my unit, I heard a key going into the lock on my unit, and someone was unlocking my door. Now keep in mind, I'm sitting there in bed with like just my bra and panties on. He's laying in bed in just his boxers, no shirt or anything. So he just has on his boxers, and we're just laying up, you know, doing what couples do, chilling, watching TV, you know, and just having a good time together, laughing and talking. So when I hear this lock turn in my door, I jump up, open the closet door, and I shove him in this closet door. I'm like, please stay in there, please. Because my quote unquote ex, but not quite my ex-boyfriend, he's a big dude, and the new guy was a big guy too, but he's a bigger guy. So I shove him in the closet, and in walks Mr. What should we call him? Mr. Inconsistent, because at that point we were just seeing each other sporadically. So he comes in, and he says, babe, you know, I've been thinking so much about you. You know I've been neglectful, and I haven't been around to see you as much as you've wanted me to. And he went and got movies. He has Chinese food. You know, he's sort of planned this impromptu date and didn't even keep me in the loop that's what he was doing. He just showed up Johnny on the spot, prepared to have this date, sort of taking me for granted, if I'm being completely honest. And so there's all this food there, and I'm sitting there. Now, keep in mind that Mr. Gainesville is hiding in the closet, and he's listening to all this complete exchange. So, as Mr. Sporadic comes in with the food and the movies, he says he has to use the bathroom. So when he goes in to use the bathroom, I rush into the closet, open the closet, I handed them to Mr. Gainesville his clothes, and then I gave him the keys to my car so that he would have some place to sit until I got this situation figured out. So I take him and I shove him in the back hallway, because my apartment had a front entrance and a back entrance. So I shove him in the back hallway, and he's out there in the back hallway in the dark. And then I turn around, and then I come back in, and then Mr. Sporadic comes out of the bathroom, and he walks over to me, and he has the strangest look on his face. And he says to me, "Where is he?" And look, I tried to lie as much as I possibly could, but I was just like, where's who? And he's like, "Where is he? I want to meet him." I'm like, oh my God, please, please, please don't let this happen. Not right now. And he's like, "Go get him." Oh my God, you guys don't even understand that this particular moment, I'm telling you, it's like all time stopped. So he's standing there, and he has this look on his face like he could literally put his hands around my neck and strangle the life from me. I don't see him being the type of person that would do that, but this was just a look that I had never seen on his face. So I walk ever so slowly to the back door. I open up the back door. Mr. Gainesville is on the back stairs, and I said, he wants to talk to you. And so Mr. Gainesville didn't hesitate. He got right up, still in his boxers, still in his t-shirt, and he walks into the apartment, and here they are standing face to face, mano a mano, and I'm standing in the center of them. I don't know if blows are going to be exchanged, but whatever I can do to keep them from tying up, so to speak, that's what I was trying to do. So Mr. Sporadic looks at Mr. Gainesville and he says, "Do you love her? Do you love my baby?" And then Mr. Gainesville replies back. He said, "Yeah, man, I love her." Oh my God, you guys. I have never been... In that particular moment, I didn't know what to feel. I was over the moon that Mr. Gainesville said that he loved me. But I was scared for his life, honestly, if I'm being completely frank. So as soon as he said that, as soon as Mr. Gainesville said, "Yeah, man, I love her," Mr. Sporadic let out this primal scream. I mean, it was so animalistic. It was so painful. And he just like, I had a wall of pictures, and he just took his hands and he raked all of the pictures off of my wall. And he stormed out and knocked all of the pictures down there was pictures lining the stairs leading up to my unit. Knocked all of those pictures off, and he just stormed out. He didn't hit me. He didn't hit Mr. Gainesville. So as far as I was concerned, it was a win-win situation. I can buy more pictures. Okay, that's good. Okay, I'm good. Okay, everyone's good. We're checking, and there's no marks. No one's hurt. No one's stabbed. No one's shot. I'm like, okay, this is the best case scenario given the circumstances. So he storms out and he leaves. When he leaves, I tell Mr. Gainesville, I'm like, just go, because I don't know if he's gonna go and come back in sort of a more calmer fashion, or I don't know if he's going to go out and just become more irate. So when he leaves, I send Mr. Gainesville off, and I'm literally having to fight Mr. Gainesville to leave, because he's telling me he's not leaving, or that if he does leave, that I need to come with him, but he's not going to leave me by myself. And I'm pleading with him, please just let me take care of this, because I did not want the two of them to, you never want to see people that you care about hurt each other and feel like you're the cause, or you're the impetus for that to happen. So whatever consequences resulted from this exchange, they resulted from me not having that conversation about the breakup, and just not really putting on my big girl panties and just saying what I felt. So I felt like whatever the consequences were, it was for me to bear, and not for Mr. Gainesville to have to bear. So he leaves. Both guys leave. I'm there by myself. I'm sitting there just sort of replaying everything over and over. And then I hear Mr. Sporadic coming back. And I'm like, oh Lord, here it goes. So he comes back in and he tells me, go take a shower. Go take a shower right now. So I don't ask any questions. I go jump my black ass in the shower. Whatever he told me to do, I'm like, I'm doing it. So, okay, he wants me to take a shower. I'm in the shower. So I go get in the shower, and I'm thinking to myself while I'm in the shower, is he trying to, is he about to kill me in the shower? Like, I didn't know what he was about to do. So I get out the shower, I dry off, and then he tells me to go lay in the bed. So I go lay in the bed. I'm like, okay, I don't know what's about to happen. Is he about to try to have sex with me? I don't know what's about to happen. So I lay in the bed. He gets behind me just as he did when he told me he wasn't going to leave the first time. And he held me. And then just as the sun was coming up, he kissed me. And then he walked out and he didn't say anything. And I didn't say a word, because I think I knew what that kiss meant. That kiss meant goodbye. And as much as I loved him and cared about him at one point, at that point I was ready to say goodbye. I had been trying to have the goodbye conversation before, and I felt like I was unable to really say that to him because he had such a hold on me emotionally that I didn't want to hurt his feelings in any way, shape, or form. So he wound up leaving, and Mr. Gainesville came back. He and I ultimately wound up in a relationship. And now that me and Mr. Sporadic are like best friends, you know, you guys, we're like best friends now. I sat down with him one day, and as much as I didn't want to rehash the events of that particular night because I didn't know if he was comfortable talking about it, I had to know. I'm like, how did he know someone was in that closet? Because as far as I was concerned, I did a fantastic job of making sure that those two paths did not cross. So I started wondering, were there shoes at the front door? Did he see, luggage? How did he know that Mr. Gainesville was there? And he said the way he knew is that when he walked in the door and he hugged me, he said he could feel my heart beating really fast. And when he was in the bathroom, he kept asking himself what was making her heart beat so fast. So ladies and fellas, if you're going to be a cheater, learn how to slow down your heart rate, because it got me busted. And I'm not necessarily a cheater because I don't feel like I was cheating, you guys. Maybe you feel like I was cheating. Comment back down below if you feel like I was cheating, because I don't feel like I was cheating. He left. He chose to move out. He chose to move on. He chose to not communicate. I tried everything in my power to communicate to him that I was unhappy. And so ultimately I just started moving on with my life. And granted, I should have had an official closing ceremony in terms of that relationship, and I didn't do that. I still think I was well within my rights to move on with my life. So yeah, all in all, I wound up not being with either guy. Mr. Gainesville is married now, I believe. I also believe Mr. Sporadic is married as well, and I'm the only single one. Don't cry for me, Argentina. I'm happily single. So yeah, leave your comments below. I really want to know what you guys think about this story time, because that was probably one of the most harrowing moments of my life. I just did not, and I feel like losing a couple of pictures, a little bit of artwork. These weren't Picassos by any stretch of the imagination. We're talking like Pier 1 imports and home goods stuff. So that's stuff that I can replace. So yeah, leave your comments below. I really want to know if you've ever had a situation like that, or if you've ever been in a situation with someone that wasn't, giving you what you wanted in exchange, and you moved on without having that closing ceremony. Let me know how you handled it, and if you've ever been caught, please let me know how your situation turned out. Anyhow, you guys, that's it for this story time. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, remember to follow me across all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter. I'm Cerebral Diva on all platforms, spelled just as it's spoken. So if you can spell, you can find me. And remember to live better, love harder, and think smarter. I'll see you guys again soon, and have a fantastic day.